these last 3 pages of the book Outwitting the Devil should literally be read to you. They're that important. What's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and we're going to finish up our study of the book by Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. First, I want to thank all my patrons and all my subscribers on both channels. The Lorenzo Reed channel, which is where we do our spiritual, hermetic, alchemical studies and teachings, as well as over on our new channel, Coach Renz, where we do all of our financial and relationship videos. So please subscribe to both channels so that you can get all the information, or if you just want one over the other, just get the one. So Outwitting the Devil, if you guys know, we have been going through this study of this book. Most of these videos have been on my Patreon account, so if all those who support me on Patreon, I really appreciate you guys. That's why you get the extra added information. Some videos have been placed on my regular channel, my regular YouTube channels, so I appreciate you guys as well. Now, so keep subscribing. We went through the book Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil has really been a book that changed a lot in my thinking, a lot in my activities, the way I live my life, ever since I first discovered it in 2011, which is when the book was first published. It was written in 1938, but it wasn't published till 2011. And that is because Napoleon Hill's wife feared the backlash he would receive, and then his wife's nephew feared the wife, his wife's nephew's wife feared the backlash that he would receive during the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s until 2011. So we're getting to the very last thing. It's about the 7 principles. He talked about 7 principles to being ultimately for success. And in order for you to move in those 7 principles, you have to understand them, dig deep inside of them for your understanding. Now, the thing about these 7 principles is that the final principle, I believe, is vital for your understanding of the remaining 7. I'm trying to tell you what the 7 are, but I can't quite find it in the book exactly where I left, where that part is, so we're not going to worry about it, except I just found it. Ha! And I'm not editing this. So the 7 principles were this. The first one was definiteness of purpose. We went over that. Mastery over self. Learning from adversity. Number 4, controlling your environment, your environmental influences. Number 5, time, and a deep understanding of how time sets in your permanency. Number 6, harmony. And this last one, number 7, caution. Caution. It's as simple as that. Caution. What does it mean? So we're going to start with what he said. Napoleon Hill asked him, said, okay, now tell me about the last of the 7 principles. He said the last principle is caution. Next to the habit of drifting, the most dangerous human trait is the lack of caution. People drift into all sorts of hazardous circumstances because they do not exercise caution by planning the moves they make. Just think about that. How many times have you just jumped instead of planning your moves? How many times have you, now you would plan a move if you was moving your locality, if you was moving your house, if you was moving to a whole nother state, you would hopefully plan that. But when you get your next job, when you wake up in the morning planning your day, when you plan for the next year, when you plan for how you're going to achieve a task, how much planning do you do, or you just drift along life and allow life to move you in different directions? Or you just make decisions based on an emotional response, which means that you haven't done the second principle, which is mastery over self. So how often do you plan before you speak? Oftentimes when someone is coming to me for advice, unbeknownst to them, I will mentally say to myself, I need the right thing to say to these people. I need the right ears to hear what they're truly saying. I need the right heart to emotionalize and have sympathy or empathy for what they're saying. I need correct and accurate thinking to make sure that I'm providing exactly what they need at that moment. Oftentimes, I follow a hermetic verse that says that the lips of wisdom are sealed except to the ears of understanding, and I won't say a word. So, how often do you consciously think about each word, each time you're about to speak? Do you plan it, or do you just speak. A lot of my videos may seem unplanned, unrehearsed, and they are. But the thoughts were planned out well in advance. So he talks about how he acts. The drifter acts and thinks later. He does not choose his friends. He allows his friends to be chosen for him. He allows people to attach themselves to them that should not be there, that are actually creating more problems in their lives than solutions, causing them to drift farther away from success than to move forward into their brilliance. Say he does not choose his occupation. He gets the first job that will provide food and clothing, which many of people do. They'll just cast themselves out, job for job for job for job. When you hate the one that you're in, you just cast yourself out for another job. You don't pre-plan for how you're going to be when you get to that job. What's going to make you different? Because if you keep suffering the same issues at every job, then maybe it's not the job. Maybe it's not the people at the job. Maybe it's you. If you find yourself in a deficit of funding every time, maybe it's not the way the inflation is going or the country is going. Maybe it's the way you handle your money. So maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Said people cheat him in trade because he's neglecting to inform himself of the rules of trade. Do you understand the rules of money? Do you understand the rules of love? Do you understand the rules of government? Do you understand the rules of any country that you're in? Do you understand the rules of banking? Do you understand the rules of credit? Do you understand the rules of the universal laws? If you're not in understanding of the rules of the game that you're playing, then you're always a pawn in the game. Never, never, never are you the king or the queen. You're always the pawn. You're not even a bishop or a rook. No, or a knight. You're a pawn because you're not understanding the rules of the game. You're just being moved about. So understand the rules of the games that you're playing. Because of that, he invites poverty by neglecting to protect themselves against the environmental influences of the poverty-stricken. He invites failure at every step, and he takes by neglecting to exercise the caution to observe every cause. What causes people to fail? He invites fear in all its forms. Fails at marriage because he neglects to use caution in the choice of a mate. He uses still less caution in his method of relating himself to her after marriage, or him after marriage. He loses his friends and converts them into enemies by his lack of caution in relating himself to them and on a proper basis. Not understanding how to dig deep inside yourself. You know, one of the things that I'm writing a book called How to Find Your Divine Soulmate. And in that book, it's the meat of the book. There's a lot of meat in there, but the meat of the book is the self-evaluation, how to find your inner self and build your inner self so that it is as greatest version that it possibly can be, but then to choose a mate that fits what you have created within yourself. All that divinity you bring out of yourself, all that goodness, all that energy, all that brilliance you bring out of yourself, and then to choose someone who tries to dim your light makes no sense. So you have to have a cautionary pathway, a thought process in order to choose that mate. I've made mistakes in choosing my mate because I didn't use my own principles. You have to use these principles. Now, just because you use the principle doesn't mean that the relationships that you get involved in are going to be great. No, it means that you will have to go through the process of evaluating, and may discover that that person is not for you. Somebody may start out that way, but then they change. They're not necessarily change. You realize who they really are, and you realize what you can and cannot have in your life, and so you may have to move on. So it's not I recognize their inability from day one. Some people you will, but some you won't. But to have the ability to be able to know what you're looking for, know what you're looking at, and identify if it is something that is magnetized towards you, that makes a difference. Choosing your mate is just as important to your success as you choosing your occupation. So that's why on the Coach Ren's channel, those two subject matters are together because they're intertwined. He asked, are people lacking in caution? He said, no, only those who have acquired the habit of drifting. The non-drifter always uses caution. He always thinks before he acts, always take into account the environment and the cause and effect, the processes all around. What is the vibration? What is the mental thought process of the masses? Where are things going? You know, Wayne Gretzky, the great soccer player, they called him the great one. He never said that he was more talented than everybody else. Matter of fact, he knows that he wasn't as talented. But he said his great secret was not skating to where the puck is, but skating to where the puck is going to be. Where is the puck in your life going to be? Where is your life going to be? And skate towards that. Michael Jordan said that the reason why others failed to dominate him is because he was never in competition with the other players. He was never in competition with Barkley, never in competition with Olajuwon, never in competition with any of those guys. He was always in competition with himself. After he lost to the Pistons, he started being only in competition to himself. So while other people were trying to be in competition with the current version of himself, trying to catch up to the current version of him, he was always pursuing the next version of himself, getting better and better. So they never caught up because they was always chasing a ghost. And are you chasing a ghost? That's the question. That's the question. Are you chasing a ghost? So he said, isn't overcaution as detrimental as lack of caution? He said there is no such thing as overcaution. What you call overcaution is an expression of fear. Fear and overcaution are two entirely separate things. Question, don't people mistake fear for overcaution? Yes. This is the devil saying yes. That does sometimes happen, but the majority of people create for themselves far more disastrous hazards by a total lack of habit of caution than overcaution. And what you got, did you hear that? He said, in what way may caution be used most advantageously? Let me say that part. Don't mistake being overcautious and fear as the same thing. When you say I'm just being cautious, I just need to get all the information, I just need to get this set right, oftentimes you're doing that out of fear. It is not because you're being cautious and you're using accurate thinking of self-determination in order to make sure that you're doing the right thing, that you're moving forward in a way that's going to be beneficial to yourself. Oftentimes you're doing that out of fear of taking the step, fear of moving forward, fear of the unknown, fear of not being able to recover, not being able to recover. So do not mistake fear for being cautious. Do not mistake fear for getting information. Once you have sufficient information, you have to move on it in order to see what the results are. And just because the results don't come out the way you want them to, then that doesn't mean that you move too soon. It's just that you have to now reevaluate. Many people will say to me that, oh, I can't do this until I know that it's going to be successful. You will never know anything is going to be successful until you try it, until you get involved in it. But make sure you get the right amount of information before you step out there. But when you do have enough, move forward. You're never going to have 100% information nor guarantee on anything. On anything. So he said, in what way may caution be used most advantageously? He said, in the selection of one's association and in one's method of relating oneself to associates. One's associates constitute the most important part of one's environment, and environmental influences determine whether or not one forms the habit of drifting or becomes a non-drifter. Basically, your environment will flow either negative or positive. If it flows negatively, then you will drift. If it flows positive, you will not. You're a non-drifter because you're using caution to exercise from life the exact bounty that you should have and receive from life. So if you find yourself in negative spacing right now, negative place, then it is not the world against you. It is you have placed yourself in harmony with the negative aspects of the world. Maybe it's through your associations, it's where you live, it's the people you surround yourself with, it's the news that you watch, it's the people that you focus on, the people that you give all your attention to, it's the issues in your life that you're giving all your attention to. When you focus on the negative, you flow into the negative ideas of society, and that's where you stay, and your life continues to revolve around it. Your gravitational field pulls that in towards you, and that's why you keep receiving it, and you'll keep receiving it. So you should never allow that. He said, isn't that method of choosing associates selfish? He said it is sensible and leads to self-determination. It is the desire of every normal person to find material success and happiness. Nothing contributes more to one's success and happiness than carefully chosen associates. Choose your life on purpose. Choose the people on purpose. Choose your environment on purpose. Do not let anybody decide who your close associates to be. So Napoleon Hill finally says, it never occurs to me that caution is the selection of never occurs to me that caution in the selection of friends has so definite a bearing on one's success or failure. He said, without the exercise of caution in the choice of one's associates, no one may be certain of success in any calling. Any calling. Now he goes into the summary of the book after this part. I'm not going to do a video on the summary, because then I'll be summarizing the whole book. And you have to be able to say no to people in your life. Everybody doesn't deserve to be a part of your life. Everybody doesn't deserve a place in your life. Every environment, you do not have to be a part of. Every organization, you don't have to be a part of. You don't have to be a part of every discussion or every argument or every disagreement. You should only be a part of what is going to be a benefit to you. There's nothing wrong with making those types of selfish decisions, because those types of selfish decisions is what brings you success. And when you bring yourself success, you bring success to those around you, because you'll have a tendency to be able to lift people up. And for those who don't, you'll have the cautionary mindset to release them from your life, because there's no matter how well you're doing, if someone is determined to be negative, determined to lose, they will bring you down. But if you're not a non-drifter, you will not allow yourself to be in that environment. You won't. So you have to use caution. You get ready to do a business deal, use caution. Use caution. Now I'm going to end this video at that point, but in the next video that will be only on the financial page, financial channel of Coach Ren's, the financial channel, we're going to talk about caution again. In a story or a reference to a young lady that I spoke with yesterday about buying tax lien properties. So that video will be uploaded either sometime late tonight or later on today on that channel, or it will be first thing in the morning, but it'll probably be later on today or late tonight, because I'm going to make that video like as soon as I'm done with this one. So but I'm gonna load this one first. That's why I say that. So stay tuned for that one about tax lien, if that's something you're interested in as far as building wealth, or even if it's not about building wealth, or if it's about the fact that you would rather. Let me ask you a question before I go there. Here's the thing. Two people, in her example, she has a friend who just bought a townhouse. She wants to buy a house. The friend has got a 30-year mortgage. She got 29 years left on that mortgage. She just bought it. Now, she's getting ready to buy a house. She's ready to get her 30-year mortgage. They're both 35 years old. I asked her a question. Would you rather have your house paid off in 8 years, or would you rather your house paid off in 30 years? You would beat your friend. Your friend would still have 20 plus years left on their house. She answered in the affirmative. So I introduced her to the idea of a tax lien property. It's not as, you don't get to choose your property as well as the other person go out looking fine. But if it's in the areas that you like, and if you do that, and the house is done the way I do, I'm going to tell you on the next video. Would you rather have your house paid off in 8 to 9 years, or would you rather wait 30 years? If you're interested in 8 years, then go over to Coach Ren's. If this video is, if it's after, I think today is September 16th, 17th. Today's September 17th. If it's after September 17th, 2018, go over to Coach Ren's, find a video that I'm talking about tax liens. But you have to use caution, and you have to have patience. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, and I thank you for being a part of here, but free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable, and I thank you for being a part of this channel, this video. And yeah, I'm not editing none of my mistakes on this one. So y'all have a great day.